Hello students. Today we are going to see the topic called as a functions. All of you are familiar with the print function which we used in case of printing any data on the console. So what happens, the print function will work and it is working fine. But what happen when you want to write the maintainable reusable code which you need to be able to create? For that you have to create your own functions. So today we are going to see the how to declare the functions with different parameters and return types. Also we are going to see the customization of the functions and how to provide the default parameters values to the function. So we will start for the today's topic, that is functions. So function declaration is defining a function like that. Function, you have to use the keyword func keyword, func func keyword. Then you have to write down the function name, and then if the parameters are there, then you can substitute inside the braces. And if the function is returning something, then you have to write their return type. And then the inside the curly braces, you have to write the body of the function. But it is not mandatory that every time you have to pass the parameters, or you should have the that the function should return everything something. So here one example we have shown here of a simple function which is not having any parameters, or the also it is not returning anything. So we have created one function. I will go to the Xcode playground here, Xcode. Then we'll open the playground here. I will give the name to the playground as a functions. We'll create that. So if you copy here, now here what we have done, uh, by using the func keyword, we have created the function called function name is the display py, which is going to display the value of the mathematical pi function. And inside the curly brace we are having the print, and inside that we are having the value of pi up to the 10 digits. So when we want to display the content of the function, or the if you want to run the function, or if you want to use the function, then you have to call the function by the function name. So here we are calling that function with the name of the function. Now we will run this and we'll say the what output we will see on the console. It is starting to build. It will take some time. Okay, so that means whatever the content inside this print function, it is printed on the console when we give the call to the particular function. So n number of time whenever we will call this function, suppose that again whenever we'll call this function, it will again print that much of time. Okay, so that is the case here. So this is a simple function without any parameters. Then using how to use the parameters in case of function. Here we have defined one function called, the function name is a triple, and you can see we have passed one parameter called as a value, which is having the data type as a integer. So the value is the parameter passed for this function triple, and inside the braces, curly brace, you can have the value. We have defined one constant result, let result equal to whatever the value, that parameter is multiplied with the 3. Now here your parameter value, we can use the parameter as an argument here, okay, inside the function. Okay, so we're using the value into 3, then we are printing that if you multiply the value by 3, you will get the result. That means whatever the value we are going to provide to the parameter called as a value, that will be multiplied with the 3, and the result will be stored inside the constant called as a result. Okay, so we will try to run this onto the playground. So when we run this, we'll get, if you multiply by 10 by 3, you will get 30. Okay, that means here the function triple is with the parameters. Now you can clearly see the difference between these two functions. This function is not having any parameters, and this we have passed one parameter, which is value, to this function. Okay, so this is the function with the without the parameters. This is the function with the parameters. Then we'll move further. Now in previous function, we have used only one parameter. We have passed only one parameter. So multiple parameters can be passed to the function. So in this example, you can see we are having the function called as a multiply, and the two parameters we have passed for this function, having first is the first number having the data type as the integer, and the second is the second number having the data type as the integer. And similarly, we have multiplied these parameters, and result is stored inside the result. So we will try to run this on the console again. So here we are using the multiple parameters. Okay, more than one parameters, multiple parameters, two parameters we have used, passed to the function multiply, and the multiplication result of these two numbers is stored inside the constant called as a result, and we are printing that. And when we have called this function multiply, we have passed the values as a 10 and 5 to the function. And when we run this result, 10 into 5 is 50, so result is 50. Okay, if I change the value, suppose that if I change this to the 20, then we'll say the change in the result. The result is 100. Okay, so similar, by using this kind of syntax, you can use the multiple parameters for the function. Then the return values, up till now, whatever the functions we have studied that are not having the return type or that they are not returning anything. Now we are using the next concept of the return values. So here the same function which we have used in previous case, multiply function, here we have defined the, it is returning the integer value, so it will return the integer here. So let result equal to first number into second number, and we'll have the return value as a returning, it will return the result here. Okay, so here you can see the arrow defines the return value, and return data type of the return is an integer. That means the this function will going to be a return a integer value, and return statement is there, return result. Instead of that, also we can directly write down the return first number into the second number if you don't want to store the value into the new constant or the variable. Then you can use that. We are creating the instance of this for, we are creating the instant my result, and we are calling the function. That means the we have called the multiply function, and the result is stored into the my result. Okay, so similarly you can print the 10 into 5 is multiply first number 10, second number 5, etc. So this is the methods by which you can uh, define, or you can use the uh, return values inside the function. Then the next concept is the argument labels. So here we are having the function name function as a say hello function, having the one parameter first name of the data type as a string, and inside the braces we are printing the hello first name. When we call it as a say hello, it will be first name, it will ask for the first name, we will pass the first name, and that will be printed. Now here what happens, suppose that more than two parameters or more than one parameter you have to pass. In that case you can use the labels, argument labels like this. Function say hello, we are having the two string and string, so print hello to and. So if you call this say hello, it will two, we are passing the value to the to and end. But this will be not you can see to and are the not true. As far as the language is concerned, we are not flexible with this to and. So you can, instead of to and, you can use the labels like, now here we have used the two person having the return data type as a string, and second one is the another person having the data type as a string. So instead of to and, we can go for the person and the another name. So here labels to and also can be omitted by using the, so suppose that we have used the function add here, you can use the underscore here, underscore first number into the having the data type as an integer, and to second number having the data type as an integer. And when we add these two numbers, first number plus second number, then you can have the respective result for that. Okay, so you can use the underscore if you don't want to use the label. Okay, now the default parameter values is the next thing. So when we are passing the parameters, we can also provide the default values to the parameters. So here we have defined one function called as a display, having the first parameter as a team name, which will return which is having the data type as a string, and the second parameter as a score, which is having the data type as an integer. And for that we have defined the default value is equal to 0. So the parameters which is having the default value, you can define that inside the function definition. Okay, so that will be inside the print team name score. Okay, so when we are calling this, we can use the team name and the score whatever you want. Okay, but when we are not providing the any value to the score, it will be by default it will take the 0 because we have provided the default value as a 0 to the function display. Okay, so if you run this on the playground, if you run this on the playground, you can see. Okay, so still we are not in the second when second time when we are calling the display function, we are not calling the parameter we are not providing any value for the score. Still default value is provided as a 0, so that's why the 0 is printed. If you provide some value, then that value will be printed as in the uh, uppercase. You can see display team name wombat score is 100. So this is the thing where we can provide the values, default values to the parameters. So here we will come to the end of the functions topic. Whatever, if you summarize this, what we have to remember for the, if you want to write down any function, first thing is that the define, how to define a function, where func keyword is there, and then function name. You can have the parameters, or you can it is not mandatory you will have. You can have the parameters, you can pass the parameter to the function, or similarly regarding the, if it is returning anything, you will have the return type. Then how to pass the parameters to the function, then how to pass the multiple parameters to the function, what are the return, what is the return value, and how we can define that inside the function with the return keyword, how to define the return values, then what are the argument labels and how to use inside the function definition, how to omit the labels, and finally we have studied how to provide the default parameter values to the function. For the exercise, I will put the link in the description for the functions playground. Please solve this. If you have any query, you can comment to me inside the description section. Thank you.